In the turbulent 2nd century, when Christianity was still consolidating its identity amid persecution and internal debates, Saint Apollinaris of Hierapolis emerged as a leading defender of the faith. Little is known of his early life. He hailed from the region of Phrygia in Asia Minor and became bishop of Hierapolis, a city near Laodicea. The few facts preserved by early church historians Eusebius, St. Jerome, and Theodoret describe him as one of the most learned and courageous prelates of his age. As a bishop during the reign of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Apollinaris shepherded his flock at a time when Christians were often viewed with suspicion. Roman authorities sporadically persecuted believers, and philosophical schools influenced numerous heresies that threatened church unity. Apollinaris responded by writing treatises against groups such as the Encratites, who rejected marriage and wine to an extreme, and the Montanists, whose self-proclaimed prophets undermined episcopal authority. According to St. Jerome, he meticulously traced each heresy to the pagan philosophies from which it borrowed its errors, showing that these teachings were not grounded in the gospel. Although most of his writings have been lost, the scholar Photius later praised them for their style and substance. The episode that most vividly illustrates Apollinaris' legacy is his apology to Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Around AD 175, the emperor had recently repelled a Germanic invasion with the help of a legion of soldiers, many of whom were Christians. During a desperate moment when the Roman army was encircled and dying of thirst, the Christian soldiers knelt and prayed. Eyewitnesses recorded that a sudden thunderstorm arose. Rain quenched the Romans' thirst while lightning and wind disoriented the enemy, enabling a Roman victory. This event, remembered as the Thundering Legion miracle, convinced the faithful that divine providence had intervened. Apollinaris seized the moment. In his letter to the emperor, he reminded Marcus Aurelius that his triumph came through the prayers of Christian soldiers, not through magic. He implored the emperor to recognize this debt and to protect Christians from harassment. Historical accounts say that Marcus Aurelius issued an edict forbidding anyone, under pain of death, to accuse a Christian simply for professing the faith. He did not, however, repeal all anti-Christian laws, and persecution continued sporadically. The fact that a provincial bishop could address the emperor with such boldness demonstrates the developing confidence of the Church and the effectiveness of reasoned argument combined with testimony of divine action. Though Apollinaris' writings are lost, scholars infer from citations by later authors that he tackled major doctrinal controversies of his day. He likely argued against Gnosticism, which posited a dualistic universe, against Marcionism, which rejected the Old Testament, and against philosophical syncretism that sought to merge Christian belief with pagan thought. By demonstrating that the Catholic faith aligned with both sound philosophy and apostolic tradition, he helped to secure doctrinal boundaries. His use of classical rhetoric also shows the early Church's engagement with Greco-Roman culture, affirming that faith and reason are not at odds but complementary. The exact date of Apollinaris' death is uncertain. Sources indicate that he died before Marcus Aurelius, likely around AD 175. His name appears in the Roman Martyrology for January 8, which honors saints who may not have suffered martyrdom but were nonetheless pillars of the Church. Later generations revered him as a saint, celebrating not spectacular miracles but his commitment to safeguarding doctrine and caring for his people. Saint Apollinaris' story underscores three enduring lessons. First, the power of prayer. The thunderstorm that saved the Roman army illustrates how God can act through the petitions of the faithful. Second, the importance of intellectual engagement. By studying and refuting heresies, Apollinaris defended the coherence of the Christian message in a hostile environment. Third, the value of civic dialogue. He addressed the emperor with respect yet firmness, seeking protection without flattery. In a world where church and state often collide, his example encourages believers to participate thoughtfully in public life, appealing to common sense and appealing to shared values. Today, the feast of Saint Apollinaris the Apologist on January 8 invites Christians to remember the early defenders of the faith who used pen and voice to sustain their communities. Though his writings are lost, his impact endures wherever believers study theology, engage culture, and pray for peace. By reflecting on his life, we honor a bishop who wove scholarship, pastoral care, and courage into a legacy that still inspires the Church.